You'll be on your phone. Yeah. And then if there are comments that come in,
Is Facebook Live okay to do that? So it says it's live.
Okay.
But I can't see your face.
Okay. All right, well, we finally made it. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. It was about 18 months ago that I had the idea of kicking this off, and that started with a phone call to the front office. I talked to the secretary and asked her, "Do you remember the time capsule that's outside in the O wing?" And she did. And I asked, "Well, do you know whose classroom it's in front of?" And she thought it was Mr. Arp's classroom. So he was the first one that I reached out to, and coincidentally, he's right next door to it. But through the last 18 months, Mr. Arp has been working behind the scenes with me, answering questions, making sure that we're well prepared for this event. And because of all the time that he's spent volunteering and willingly donating his time and energy, on behalf of all of us, we want to extend this gift to you, Mr. Arp. It may not have seemed like a lot of work, but the fact is that we couldn't be here without your support. So we want to thank you for that. And you can see that you can't see in the camera yet, but we have a pretty good turnout. Probably about 24 former classmates and loved ones with us, and of course, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett are here with us as well. I'm not sure if you thought it was going to be 21 years after the fact, but that's 5% of the target, so I think that's pretty close. We do know that about 10 years ago, the time capsule was vandalized. If we knew who those people were today, they would be suffering right now some painful death. But it's going to be a bit of a discovery for all of us to see to what extent the contents were disturbed. But we will learn that together. You can see that after the event happened, 2 additional padlocks were added, courtesy of Chuck, the custodian. Unfortunately, we located the master key for those locks. The key for the original lock was well preserved and labeled by, I don't know if the labeling was yours or your wife's, but I expect nothing less either way. So we do have the original keys 21 years later, and we're going to go ahead and proceed with opening it up, and we'll spend a few minutes to distribute the contents to those that are here, and that will be followed by some time where it'd be more comfortable for us to go into the classroom and have some discussion time together. We can share something memorable from the class. We can share something about the contents and surprise ourselves about what we were thinking 21 years ago. And Mr. Garrett has also graciously extended another final session of Ask Me Anything About Anything, for those of you that remember that. So without any further delay, I'm going to crack it open.
So wait, you said you found the key so we don't get to use the bolt cutters?
Yeah, well, that was a plan C. If, you know.
This isn't like when they open up the radio
We all know.
Success.
Oh my god, I see my jar. Still in
Yeah, some of them are roads.
Still in there.
So I'm going to bring the camera over for a moment.
Take a look.
So I was trying to remember what it was that we used to, yeah, come take a look. I was trying to remember what it was that we used to store the contents, and it looks like a little bit of everything.
These will be instruction like a mayonnaise jar or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, exactly. Sweet. There's like
Some
no
of the jars
mold.
are
There's like no mold. I know, that's what I was worried about. Look at that. That is remarkably.
It looks like everything is pretty much accounted for. I don't see any.
Anybody see a yearbook in there?
There's a
That
sign
magic
where
card
people
might be worth some
sign.
money.
That's so
Is
funny.
that something that we,
The plaque is what everybody signed. Or whatever.
Yeah. So let's start distributing the contents. I'll start with mine. I see my name right there, so
Okay.
put that aside.
Okay.
Yeah, I see this one says Shannon. Eric Scholler, we'll put that one aside.
There's another plaque, must be more than one. Must be-
There's a plaque. Yeah, there's two
Oh, yeah,
plaques.
there's one for each period.
Two plaques. One for the fifth period where we had all of our names inscribed.
Awesome, since I remembered what period it was.
Yeah. Yeah, we signed it and then they engraved over it.
Right.
It had to be more than this. So
There you go. I see it on there. Right there. I see it on
You want to pass that around, John?
Absolutely.
No, you were in 4. We were? Oh, Kathleen. Oh, man. Where's your signature? I thought it was for sure.
David Perea.
About how you had to come back. Hold on. Maybe we thought about that ahead of time.
Oh.
Maybe we had to come back after. We knew.
That might just be a snack.
This might just be snacks, yeah.
Probably still good. No problem.
really want to hear what Oh my gosh, there's tapes in there.
No, I hope I didn't put batteries in mine. I just had micro tapes because I was like trying to figure out like what's gonna be.
Yeah, well,
Magic the Gathering card, that might be worse though.
That's what I said, that could be some serious cash.
any ones that aren't labeled, I'll just put aside for a moment. Mark Alberto,
Okay. Wow.
Aaron King,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Get in there. Get in there.
Dan Wilson. Where's Dan? That's definitely trash. Matt Hurley.
we got Sublime,
Abby Reynolds.
Pinecone.
Shannon, here's your lid.
I think it just had to do with, yeah, no, it had to do with the mountains and our place up in the.
Looks like some of the contents were opened, but looks like it's accounted for. Jamie.
I'm fourth.
We got arrested.
Santino Williams.
Oh, were you going for the same thing?
Yeah. Bring it up. Much more used.
Kevin.
There's Cat. She's still on there. That's good.
Random rock.
Kevin someone.
And zipper lighter. Does it still work?
Someone that
Yeah, I'm still good. I get
likes cars.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Stuff that definitely says I was
That little piece of paper is priceless.
stuff that definitely says I was 17 years old. That's what's
Jim Garrett.
Yeah, this is fourth.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, the American flag.
Julie Veda.
For sure. Yeah, you got arrested. I was driving. And
Yeah.
I didn't get
Steve Templeton.
Ours seems to be much
Yeah, I didn't get officially booked, but I got
Mike Spears. You know Mike? You know find him? Sort of.
I got
JJ Patterson.
Yeah.
His farm,
Yeah.
and I was about to go with you guys.
Someone that likes glitter.
Yeah.
Did you bring a trash bag with you?
I'm reserving the trash bag for a year from now when I.
Oh.
Have, yeah, right. Ashley Weir. See, it looks like we lost a lid to this one.
Right, probably that one.
We'll learn
Yeah,
from
probably that one. That's another.
Another magic card.
That's another magic card. So we have now 2 scholarships for starting.
Alright.
Maybe a couple Pokemon cards in there. We'll start 3 more.
Let's see. Ryan Westbrook.
Okay.
Mr. Garrett, you should have made us right why we're putting certain
Yeah.
things in here. I'm really wondering what this girl was thinking.
There's definitely some
Nicole Mortlock.
17-year-old me.
Yeah.
I'm glad a lot of that's changed.
That was the coolest.
And an acorn.
And then
Mr. Max, like the 21-year-old snack. There we go.
This
People
is
are
the
starting to
only
watch now.
thing
It's good.
that.
Alright, I don't see any name on this one.
Yeah, 8 so.
Oh, yeah. Wilson. Wrote it twice.
Alright. Again, I don't see a name on this one, but maybe we'll find the lid.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's not a pandemic 20
And
years
short
later, okay?
description, yeah.
It messes with reunions.
Because you have so many students.
I'm almost
After, as I'm going through it, it's clear that
that's my container. It's either that one or that one. It's either this one or that one. Probably that one, actually. Yeah!
as I'm going through it, it's clear that
It's a hockey puck.
the person that did vandalize it
That's definitely mine for sure. That's so funny.
did open some of the contents.
I'm gonna have to go to Goodwill.
Yeah.
We have more glitter.
It could be a
That
lot.
seems like a
So yeah.
where
Which
it's
is
open,
true.
we're supposed to
I
spread
always
it out.
There's a lot of stuff
It's
in
cold
that.
and blue.
Confetti, right.
And I have a tape in there. So that
Chelsea. Oh, this is
Hey,
Jamie's.
maybe you can pick up a player at Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah, no.
Do you still have the prompt for the assignment? What you told us to do?
Do we still have the what?
The prompt, or whatever it was. What was our instructions for it? What did you just say? Put some stuff in
Year
here that
2000.
looks cool, or
Something that is important to you.
something
Good
that's
luck, good luck reading that one.
Canadian quarter in there.
Let's see. Oh, I think this is Megan Murphy.
Oh. And I like have a ticket to something. Cool. This is good. I'm glad I was smart enough not to put like salaries in this thing. It's like somebody will be able to play that game.
I think this is I think this might be Taryn. Nicole Black. Kathleen Daly.
There we go. Wow, look at that like really good
What's on this
handwriting
side?
top.
Can you please?
Alex Fleischer.
Hey. Thank you.
Some of the people that are here are getting there.
All right.
Just in case, yeah, you're
Well, Mr. Garrett, your instructions clearly were not to clearly label these containers.
And all those people failed.
Or it was.
Not yours? This is mine. Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Stephanie Stauber.
You do. I wrote it. At least it stayed on there.
Yeah, you really did. That's mine right there. I feel like I took the first one. Barely put anything in mine.
hey.
See, this is smart. Having pictures of yourself. That's a
Yeah, I was saying, this one's yours. Cliff,
I gotta see this.
Cliff, I think this one's yours. You have a skinless picture in there.
That's a good idea.
Uh-oh.
Sarah Lake.
We were very little. Oh, I did write a letter.
Oh no, this is not mine. There's some significance to it. I'll pick it up.
I gotta find mine too.
It's like one of those.
I'm an acorn.
It's like one of those murder
This is Aerosol.
deals.
So
Like
Scott, you didn't find your
maybe
I did find one. I saw mine right away. Bridget Adams.
Did you write a letter?
Yeah, you wrote a letter too.
No, this is someone else.
Someone else wrote that?
Oh, okay.
Oh, remember when they put spear on here? To play it? Yeah.
No name on that one.
It was senior year. No, it was our senior trip.
Elizabeth Chang.
That was on like Space Mountain or I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that's
Oh, wow, that is some shit.
and that's my,
All right,
my wife.
Cliff. This one is yours. It has your name on it.
That looks like
Yeah.
I think I have this picture on my t-shirt.
Okay, I see a picture, but I don't see a name.
Random things in life.
Looks like we're getting to the bottom of this now. We have a couple of books in here that I recognize. One was 100 Best Loved Poems, so I believe was standard issue for your philosophy class, and also the Complete School Atlas. Do you remember that one?
Oh, no, there it is. Hey, yearbook!
Want to open that up?
Yeah.
Sierra Legault.
That's got a newspaper too. In remarkably good condition, actually.
I don't see a name on that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Garrett, this is a letter I wrote you.
Yeah, this is like I don't
From my thing.
Thank you.
I think it's literally
Oh, there you go.
I think it's literally never been opened. Like the crease is like really good. It's I think it was donated. It's blank, yeah.
No, I have mine somewhere.
Someone has a key to a 90s Toyota Tercel.
There we go. That's so funny.
Scotch tape and a masking tape wall.
Like never be open.
Yep, 7th grade English junior had us write thing to our senior graduation. And then that letter got delivered the 7th grade, Mrs.
All right, we're getting to the end of it. All right, so
I took a picture.
There's a car key in there.
come over here if you haven't gotten your time capsule contents yet, and let's sort it out. So, Jacob?
Thank you.
I didn't see one with your name on it yet, Jacob, but that may just be that it wasn't, I missed the label.
From the funny thing is, I don't remember this one. But really good. You're like, oh yeah. So I got these. I wrote him a letter. I've got a handprint.
And Scott, you didn't get yours yet?
No.
What?
And then I wrote myself a letter
Look
as
at this, or do you want to?
well. Time code.
I see Josh Chavain.
Oh, it's not fake. Okay.
Some that are not labeled. I see Tommy Lease. And there's a few items that are just scattered in here that
Whose car
felt.
keys are those?
Yeah. Well, more importantly, where's the car?
It goes to the car that's been here for 21
Right.
That's right. Hasn't been towed.
Yeah, no, I recognize your
Never
voice.
been towed.
Yeah, stayed there. Oh, yeah.
There's a guitar effect down there.
So, John, did you get yours yet? Okay.
Very car, but not the time capsule.
Okay. So, Jacob and Scott are the only two that haven't gotten theirs. Is that right? Okay.
Do you remember
Come
what
over here, Scott.
Well, we already found one. It could be another.
What do you want to do with the yearbook?
We'll keep it up.
I think it's literally
Maybe you're
like
supposed to
brand
be
new.
so good.
Right.
That's what you're
It was not what Brian was in.
I mean, I'm sure
that
it's
was
just
one
a
of
little
the-
bit here.
That was Tommy.
people, you know, like the ones that don't have names on them, probably have something.
Or maybe I.
Oh yeah. I don't even recognize.
Yeah, it's possible.
Oh no, there was a crowd.
I don't know what you're looking at.
Well, it's sort of a.
All right,
I feel like yours might be the bobber one.
People in- or see where the V around
so
it.
skate wheel in here.
That might be yours. This is skate wheel on that one.
No.
Actually, if they have,
You think you would put a skateboard wheel in here?
Gina.
I would have grandfathers.
Dana's French?
Oh, no, it's not.
Yes.
No, that's
I
not
think it
Jana
is.
French. No, it's not. Who's that? Jana was with Brian the whole time.
But maybe.
Now this part gets interesting.
It's a jersey.
This says King on it, so this is Aaron King.
Come on, read it. Read it.
Okay, let's
You're on the spot. Read it.
So we must have had a task to put something that
looks like a
grows
Daniel.
big or something, because everybody has an acorn or a pine cone or a.
Similar.
There we go, $20 on eBay. This could be a flag. There we go.
Check that one out, Scott, and see if that's yours.
Oh no, you're a
Viper?
Viper.
Continuing life.
So now we're just gonna sort through the. Yeah. We're gonna. I did bring a box.
$20, buying right now.
Just a bunch of the leaves. I bet that is good. Is it video?
Better. On Amazon, we get a converter.
Here.
Is that yours, Scott?
I don't know, just a moment.
Yeah, let's see if that one's Scott.
Oh, Philip Gadula?
Yeah, here we go. 7-2. Looks like a MP3.
What we got?
So we know who this is.
Mike, if he wants his King Griffin Jr. rookie card.
Scott, that wasn't you as a baby, is it?
One standing in front of the door.
So this is, I think this is Siobhan.
Okay. Josh Chavain.
You're kidding me.
I think it was Siobhan. Okay.
Here's the pack of tape.
Here, let me see. Can I see Tommy's real quick?
What?
Is that Tommy's? Text the picture.
What was that name again? Scott, what's that name?
This one is Taryn Hall.
Sarah Legg?
Some modern art
Right,
there.
Taryn.
Picture, a wizard.
Participation. Amanda Cord.
Okay.
CD of American. American Fire. Great Tommy. Let me take some pictures.
He should probably have had a. Does he have a Sharpie?
Yeah, there's a,
I keep in touch with Veronica. They're married. Yeah. So,
that's
yeah.
Megan Murphy.
That's a fact, yeah. It's weird shit when yeah. Also, no, they're just gonna get married.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of around.
That's 90s.
I don't remember the name of this one, but I do recognize the face.
If Bitcoin is the thing that you know,
Maybe Mr. Garrett remembers who that.
Okay, here's what we're going.
I'm gonna hand it to Mr. Garrett. That's Jamie.
That's nice.
Do you know who it is?
No,
Jamie, if you're listening, we
am I
found yours.
supposed to?
Don't you remember everybody? No?
I had brain surgery.
Okay, well then, yeah, we don't know who that is either.
Some of them that were all.
I have no excuse though.
There were a couple that were emptied out and just sort of tossed around. So still no, Scott? All right, thank you.
I think he's involved in
Okay.
But then again, I don't remember the password to my Bitcoin wallet anyway. I think there might be a little bit of option there, but I don't remember the password. I don't remember.
It's got a microphone on it.
It was just floating around in cyberspace somewhere.
This is Sierra Legault.
Google thing. Why are micro cassette players so expensive?
Sure, is that
because
You want to write Sierra's?
Okay, let's see. I want to see if there's a converter of that.
It says Jamie. You wrote Jamie around this one, so maybe
there's like a little converter
that one's.
Should have just been a
put it
picture.
inside and then
Yeah, I remember those used to be a thing.
Maybe it was pictures from class.
Because that's a normal cassette. Oh, here we go.
I think it is Jamie's because it has Jamie's pictures in it too. Yeah.
classic.
no, ours has
Cassette to USB.
yeah.
Scott, I gotta go. Still nothing like putting this together.
I'll watch these.
All right.
You too.
See you guys later, Mr. Garrett.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
All right, Scott, get over here. Help me out.
This is my way.
That's not me.
I should meet this gentleman.
Realistic.
All right, we got a few more. You want to try to open that one, see if you can get. Yeah.
Still working.
We didn't get to see. Benches in the back.
$3. No problem.
Big bear.
Yeah, there was a couple for 400.
Name on the back of that.
Yeah, I can get a used one.
Yeah. Shipping. Recognize Casey, Sharon. I don't know who's Cam. Is it Sharon? Her name's
It
on
has
the
to
back.
be shared. Oh,
I'm not going to get a protection.
Don't recognize that name. That may not be it.
It's really is.
Patrick Colley. Okay, this is Patrick Colley's. All right, one more to find.
Everything's appropriate. Everything's appropriate.
This is Taryn Hall. This says Laura on it.
I thought whoever broke into the box
Laura
would
Delege.
steal the yearbook.
Maybe it was down in the 800.
was the one that always hung in the corner of the classroom, right?
Alex, I couldn't tell you.
There's a distinct possibility.
Okay.
I think I did.
That started after.
You have that marker?
Yeah. All right. We've gone through all of the contents, and I don't see one that has your name on it, Scott.
Maybe you got banned. My magic card.
But there's a few scattered items in here that maybe you want to check out.
Who's the Mac Dre? That might be your Scotty, Mac Dre.
These, yeah, this looks like Brian Westbrook.
I feel sorry for my
Yeah, but he had talked to us before we came, talking about Roy Royce tea bags.
You didn't put it in that sock, did you? We got a pair of socks.
Come out of the
No. The cars did that.
Oh.
See, there's a couple of papers here.
So wait, where does this thing go?
No,
It was just kind of in there. It was one of the things that was loose.
He was down in LA.
Loosey goosey.
Yeah. He doesn't do it. He doesn't do it anymore. There was
I don't see any name on that one.
big in the world, but yeah, he moved down to LA. His sister lives down. They live down in the East LA area. His sister lives there, so he came down.
Oh, that's the Kit Kat wrapper.
Another paper here.
The Kit Kat that you got me from France when you went. Yeah, and I saved the wrapper.
This is looks like a letter to Ryan Westbrook from Ryan Westbrook. Okay. Does anybody have a lead on Ryan Westbrook?
He lived down in LA somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have successfully vacated the time capsule. Everybody's been reunited with their contents, plus one. Sorry about that, Scott.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he have the magic card?
We'll never know. Yeah.
Magic card and a floppy disk, right?
Yeah, we do have a magic card and a floppy disk, but I think those may be Ryan's.
And then there's a couple Bitcoin in there, right?
Is that someone's student body card? or-
COVID-19.
Yeah, this is Tommy Lee's card.
Tommy Lee's, oh yeah, his thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So who was surprised by what they found?
Yeah. I found lots of stuff that I've been missing.
Yeah. I think that's where I put it. So, what we'd like to do now would be, if you guys are interested, it'd be to move into the classroom and spend a few moments having a group discussion with Mr. Garrett, and everyone that is here is welcome to share an impactful memory or something that stuck with them from class, and give one more go at Ask Me Anything About Anything. So let's take a few minutes to transition into the classroom, if that works for you. Okay.
troublemakers.
Yeah, they're sitting in the back like they normally do.
Yes, I remember the first time I had them in class. They sat side by side. wondered why I allowed them to sit side by side.
We thought we were gonna get separated for sure. Everyone else separated us except for you. That's why you were our favorite teacher.
Well, thank you.
Little did we know.
So,
This one here, either of the two.
before we get started, I'd like to just give you a few minutes, Mr. Garrett, if there's anything you want to share with us before we start our part of sharing.
Yes, I want to thank you for all the work and effort and love you put into all this, because it was a huge challenge and you met it gloriously.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yes, you're like a little Mr. Garrett. This is how we're gonna enter, this is where you park.
Yeah, well, I suffer from being an engineer, so some of that attention to detail is just hardwired into me.
Fire away whatever you got.
Yeah, all right. I'll volunteer to be the first awkward one up here at the podium. I think my favorite memory of Mr. Garrett, and I use it almost every day in my life, and I hope it works right now. Mr. Garrett, I have a question.
I have an answer, yes.
Oh, it's 12. I thought it was always 12.
Well,
Damn it. So anyway, anytime I'm training anybody new at work, or anytime anybody walks up to me in like life, Alex, I have a question. It's like, I have an answer. It's 12. And I just turn around and walk away. And I stole that from him, and it's awesome. Sorry for everybody on Facebook, I just dropped the mic.
I used that so many times.
All right, well, let's just kind of go work our way around the room. If you have anything to share, Mike?
Yeah, should I go up there?
Yeah, go ahead, go up there.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. All right.
Why don't you, Mike, just tell everybody, your name and
Mike
what.
Schmidt, I was in all of your classes, so yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't usually need to pick up the mic. I'm usually loud enough. That's a running joke. So it's true. She knows. Yeah, no, it's. I'm just glad we're all here right now, and I'm also excited about just the turnout we had. I saw 7 on Facebook, and it was good to see. But yeah, no, I was so nervous because I know I had like this micro cassette tape in there because I wanted to hear I was, and now I'm trying to figure out how to figure out where I put the thing. I thought it was gonna have batteries in there, and it was gonna go bad. And I started worried about that, but yeah, no. There's a lot of things, I work with students now. I've done that for 20 years, and there's a lot of things that Mr. Garrett has helped me with that, being patient with people has definitely been very helpful that he's learned with, and not giving people the answers, having them figure it out. I've definitely got that for sure, but the sarcasm's still there for sure. Are you lying to me? Yes, no, I'm not lying. I do that all the time. I definitely still as well, but no, it's just with everything that happened in the last year, I think it's just good to see everybody. I'm glad I'm glad for you. I know some of you came from farther than others, but I'm just glad to see everybody. So for sure. So I'll post whatever's on this tape later when I figure out how to digitize it. But I thought that was gonna be funny. I was like, wow, what was I thinking 21 years ago? Yeah. Computers were smaller, bigger back then, and all these things. Yeah. But yeah. Thank you for being here, everyone. For sure.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm Dan Wilson, and looking into my time capsule, it was very much exactly what I thought it was going to be. I didn't know what was exactly in there, but I figured it was going to be like some variation of the themes that were in there. But about this class specifically, but Mr. Garrett, his class was a big reason why I actually do what I do. I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm a history teacher, and a lot of that came from this class, came from sort of influenced a lot by what you do, classroom management style, in terms of, what we call the authoritative, meaning to say, very friendly, but you do not mess around in that class. It is that kind of, that vibe that I always try to bring, that you always easily brought into your classroom, that I also try to bring in my classroom, trying to make it a place where everybody can be, everybody feels comfortable, everybody feels like they're learning. And I think that in general is what I remember the most. It was just a place where you're gonna learn something, you're gonna feel like you belong, and you're just gonna be happy generally to be there. And I think you did a great job always of making that kind of environment. So,
Thank you.
Jamie, you want to share anything?
Well, not really, but I guess I'll adult. And at least just go up and say who I am, because maybe not everyone knows. So, okay, hold the mic. I'm Jamie Haydenfeld, and I was in 4th period, not 5th period, even though I was convinced for sure that I was in 5th period. For me too, like just having a class where we were being forced to be engaged was really nice, right? Like I didn't want to get up here and talk right now because that's just out of my comfort zone, but in the classroom, no matter what, whether we wanted to or not, we eventually started to just engage and share and participate because we felt comfortable all the time, or that's how it was for me, right? To be in an environment where you just feel safe speaking out loud and sharing your thoughts and having conversations and stuff like that. It was just really great. I too kind of, I coach, and I've been coaching for a long time, and I feel like I have a lot of just philosophies and things inside of me that, you know, when I'm training my kids and things like that, I always think about you. And, you know, one of the biggest things is that, you know, I always want to make sure that my team never gets beat because they're not in shape, right? Like just they need to be able to work harder than their opponents and do their best. And I was just shaped a lot by you when I was being grown up here in Benicia with my awesome family. This was a really important class, and you were a really important person to me. And so I'm happy that I was able to make it today.
Thank you.
I'm gonna wait for it now. I thought if I went, you'd go.
I'll go before then.
Okay.
Yeah, John.
Hello, my name's John Garrett Greer. I still hear your words in my head constantly, and not in a creepy way, I swear. Always do the right thing, even if it doesn't mean you're not going to get invited to that party on Friday night. Never park in the red, kind of another version of that. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. And yeah, I just feel like those words have shaped who I've become. I'm always just trying to do the right thing. And you taught me that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, and I hope this call and response works. Secret to a great marriage.
Always sleep. Never go to bed angry and always sleep in the nude.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, that's where that came from. Yeah. See, there you go. That works. There you go. See?
All right, Scott, you want to share anything?
No, because I didn't get my time capsule, but my biggest memory is that Mr. Garrett, you always kept it very interesting, and it was one of my funnest classes to attend, one of my favorite classes, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jacob?
Jacob Eddy. I don't know what happened to my contribution to the time capsule, but oh well, we're here. Good to see everybody. I don't take a lot away from that class, like a lot of you guys, but one of the things I do remember is that you would say, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, then you're not doing it right. So sometimes I'll start feeling down other people about how they think about me or whatever, and I think as long as I feel good about how I'm doing and doing the right thing, that's something that I took away from the class. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so I think it's probably self-evident if there's one lesson that stuck with me from your class, it's prior planning prevents poor performance. That one has stuck with me tremendously. Now to the extent that my wife uses it against me occasionally when I fail to do it. But you know, I can't think of a single high school class that was more impactful for me than your class. And it's ironic because I know there was a certain category of people that were very skeptical about your class and your methods. And the fact that we're all here sharing the things that have stuck with us for over 20 years is a testament that they were wrong. And, I think one of my favorite parts of the class was the simplicity of it. You kept it simple, but you also found ways to challenge us. And take, for example, to ask me anything about anything. It's a very simple question, right? But you were always looking for something other than the simple question. And that, thinking back on it now, just learning how to ask open-ended questions and to, draw answers out of people was kind of a hidden lesson in all of that. One question I did have for you is, I think for a lot of us, we're approaching, late 30s and early 40s. I know. Okay, we'll just swallow the word. Okay. Is there something that you remember thinking was important in your 40s that you think about now and realize wasn't that important?
Yeah, quote, success, unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Then realize what would be labeled as success for some wasn't success at all. It was just moving up the ladder, and there was no need to move up the ladder.
God, he did it again, didn't he?
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
My hope is that, as my kids start entering their school years and enter into that chapter of their life, that they'll come across a teacher that was as wonderful as you were. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Connie.
I felt like I had to go because it's always 50% participation, 50% test, which he gave me a D on a progress report. And I went to him and I'm like, Mr. Garrett. And he's like, I knew you can do better. So step it up. I want you participating in class. And even in World Civ, I'll never forget the first day, sophomore, terrified. He was scary and mean. And I told him, Mom, you have to get me out of this class. And she wouldn't, so I stuck with it, and it ended up being the best decision ever, actually, because I ended up taking you for philosophy. I never wanted to become a teacher, became a teacher. Visited him out of high school. Do you still live off East O?
Yep.
With your hot rod? Yep. But it was, and I look, my class here, it was an experience we all had. It was like the Garrett experience, and nobody would know what we're talking about unless you had Mr. Garrett as a teacher. So you've really influenced me. I try to get my kids, my own students, to really think, and push them to think, just like you made us all push ourselves and think. So I owe a lot to you, and so it's really cool to be here. It's neat to see everyone's faces. You guys have the same little faces, but just maybe a little older now. So thank you, Mr. Garrett.
You're welcome. Thank you. There's so much you can do as a teacher with ask me anything about anything. It just opens up a door.
Hi, Mr. Garrett. Thank you so much for being here today and just everything you did over the years. I mentioned I was coming to this to maybe 5 or 6 people that I thought might have known you, and every single one of them was like, oh, I wish I could come to the opening. I wish I was in that class that did the time capsule. I have a letter from one of them to give to you. So you made a meaningful change in a lot of people's lives. And for me, what I remember in the class was you led by example. Every single day, you presented yourself in exactly the way you wanted to present yourself, to just provide a good, solid example for everybody. And I try to take that forward with me and how I interact with people. And I think probably a lot of us do, just looking around at what people have done and are doing. So, and for Ask You Anything, I'm curious, since retiring, what's an impactful thing that you've learned that you'd want to share with us?
Names, dates, and places changed, the concepts stayed the same.
I have a feeling you learned that earlier.
Boys and girls have had sex since the start of time. Nothing's gonna change.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
So first things first, you are legitimately the only teacher I brought up in casual conversation in my entire life. Like, just, I can't think of a single teacher that has actually, like, impacted me as much as you have. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome, thank you.
I'm going to start out by saying I was not invited here. In fact, I've graduated in '99. I'm not even supposed to be invited here. It's a private event. But when my sister, who was in this class, told me about this event, I thought, I have to crash this event. Because we've never had an event like this. There are decades of students who have been so changed by Mr. Garrett and the way he teaches us that it really deserves like some sort of reunion, maybe this year, especially after the pandemic. I wasn't invited, but I came prepared. When I was in one of the classes with you, I forget philosophy or history or world civ or one of those, I came and sat down, and it was a test day. And I came to the table without a pen, without a pencil. And I couldn't take the test. Mr. Garrett said, on day one, you're supposed to come prepared every single day. And that day, when we had that test, I had shit. I had nothing in front of me. I could not take the test. I had to sit there for 45 minutes or whatever and not take the test and watch everyone else take it and watch myself fail. And then ever since that day, I realized that you can't rely on anyone else to do your job. You have to come to the table prepared. And since I crashed today's party, I came prepared with this sound system so we can all hear this, and especially Facebook. So I came prepared today for you, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done. The little things you taught us have meant the world to a lot of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Second round.
All right, your turn. Okay, because I don't want to get marked off for my participation. Not very good with talking in front of people, but, let's see. Well, I guess I'll just start by saying, even though I feel like it goes without saying that, Mr. Garrett, you've been probably besides like direct family, the most impactful person, mentor, friend in my life. And so I don't know how many of you have kept in contact with Mr. Garrett over the years. I've kind of been spotty, go through little phases of, being in contact a little bit more, but ever since I was in your class sophomore year, you've always been there for me up until now. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. So, going forward, some things, just on the success, I had some quotes written down in my little jar, I think from your class, and you had mentioned quote unquote success, and there is a quote from your class by Henry Longfellow. Most people would succeed in small things if they were not troubled by great ambitions. I have a few more quotes if I wanted to do that, but some quotes though that stick out to me, probably like on a regular basis, are well, the society gets what society wants by an act of omission or commission. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and that kind of over the years, there'll be different situations where that'll just like pop into my head, like a new angle of it. I'll kind of understand a little bit more. There's probably a lot more, and I wish I had written them down because I think them, and then I'm like, oh, I need to ask Mr. Garrett about that, and then of course right now I don't have it at the forefront, but I'm sure I'll get to ask you soon. Besides that, do I get my participation point so far, or?
Yes.
Okay, some people, you guys are all very good at speaking, but yeah, the end.
All right. All right. Well, I think we made it all the way around the room, and before we close this out, anyone in the audience have any final remarks or comments they want to share?
I just think it's funny when all the quotes that people have said, like everybody can finish it.
Right.
They've all stuck with us and we all know the same things.
Right.
I think
take out piss poor when I say the 5 Ps though.
I think that's neat.
Huh?
I think that's neat that people remember them.
Yeah. Well, we remember you.
Thanks for being a part of our lives. Constantly, for helping us grow up and grow into all the people that you see before us.
You're welcome. I like seeing my students grow. You know, your young people growing into middle-aged people. What'd you say?
Let's not actually be middle-aged yet. We're just on our way to middle-age.
Middle age is 50 these days.
I'm not 40 yet.
We'll get that on the live stream, it's fine.
On your 40th birthday, they give you roller skates, it gets faster.
I do need to figure out how old I'm turning.
There must be some referral slips in here someplace.
Mike, I don't know if you're still checking out the live stream, but are there any questions from people that are, if there are any questions from people that are joining us virtually, feel free to type those in
Still watching.
in the chat and we can relay those.
While you're looking at that, I just also want to mention that, and I can say this because I'm not knocking it because I obviously threw out quotables, but I think your teaching was so much more than just the really easily things that we can quote back after so many years. The simple fact that you never taught from a book was such a shock, I think, to all of us. It's true. Because everything we got in all of our other classes were from textbooks. The idea that when you told us the realization of we were not taking tests to specifically learn anything, but most of our high school lives we've been taking tests to pass tests.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just so much more to your teaching than just the really great quotes.
Thank you. I got some heat from that too.
I heard.
Yeah.
And the way you would come, like, if with Neil next to us, kind of on our same level. I don't know.
Yeah.
You had that bit, instead of towering over us, if you came to say something, you'd kneel next to us.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mack has a question. I think it's pretty this is probably sarcastic though. He's like, who was your favorite principal you worked for?
My favorite principal I worked for was Archie Kinney.
Archie Kenny. I don't know if you're hearing this, Mr. Mack, but yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Yes. We got 6 people. Yeah. Post something in the chat, everybody, if you're watching on Facebook.
The worst one I ever worked for was Palouse.
Yeah, I'd guess that one too.
I was just gonna ask that question.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't even remember any of the principals' names. That's the last one. I only remember maybe like 3 other teachers' names, but just by name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys realize we're all over 18 now, so yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's the caveat. It's 18 and out of high school. God, I went over, yeah.
Mr. Garrett, quick question. On that same kind of theme, how do you deal with people like the last guy that you just talked about in that professional setting? Like, how do you navigate those waters without, losing your job and doing things like that?
Well, first of all, don't take any crap off him, at all. And secondly, one of the reasons I retired was because of him. He ambushed me one day towards the end of my last year. I always get to school early, and I get into my classroom and that last year, and I put my stuff away, hang up my jacket, sit down at my desk, and take care of what I have to take care of. And here he comes in the door, totally unannounced, totally unprepared on my part. And he sits down and basically says, "We have to talk." I get out my tape recorder, put it on my desk and turn it on. He says, "Is that a tape recorder?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to talk with you without it." And he says, we're not supposed to talk with teacher using a tape recorder. And I said, "Well, I'm not going to talk with you without it." And so he talks about whatever it was he wanted to talk about, I guess. I have it recorded. Then he gets up and leaves. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could pick him up by satellite.
I think I know you're pretty strong, but it would take like a lot of strength training to pick that guy up.
I think his friend, Super Carrot, might have done it. That's good. So Mr. Mack is now like flowing with questions now. So he wants to confirm that he's still your favorite student of all time.
Where is he?
Yeah, I know.
I had a lot of favorite students of all time.
Okay, good diplomatic answer. That's good. Which celebrity reminds you of you? I kind of want to let you know the answer on that. One's kind of cool.
Well, John the Duke Wayne, by God.
Whatever happened to Carrot Man?
Carrot Man is retired in a box someplace.
I know. I'm literally reading what he's saying, but yeah. Yeah. I know it's Super Carrot, but yeah. Yeah, back me up here, people. Here's one. I still have one of these. I know the answer to one of these. What did you do with all your model airplanes? I still have 2 of them, actually.
I told the world to come and get them if they wanted them. There was 120, including helicopters.
I still have 2 of them. Let's see. Mr. Mack says, during staff meetings, what did you and Mr. Meharry really do?
During passing?
During staff meetings.
Well, we didn't pay a lot of attention to what was going on. And one time we sat, excuse me, we sat in the back and played tic-tac-toe. But we were going, what do you think about this? I swear to God. There was a counselor who fell asleep at one of those meetings. His head fell back and he. Well, this is your chance, boys and girls.
All right, here's another question for you. So, most people will tell you what they don't like about aging, right? Tell us something that has been enjoyable about aging.
I don't have to get up and go to work. But this retirement thing, geez, I have to go to a doctor's appointment like every other day. And I have to take 1, 4, 8 pills at breakfast. That's not fun. And then with dinner, I have to take about the same amount. But I had a brain tumor right here, and they had to cut my skull open from here to here, pull it open like this, and cut it out. It was about as big as my thumb. And now there's 2 spots growing back here that I have to take medicine for to hold down. But that's what happens. That doesn't please me.
Well, I think we all still recognize the same man that taught us 20 years ago. So
I was gonna say, getting old sucks, and health issues aside, you still look like the same Mr. Garrett sitting in that chair in the front of the classroom, and you still command the presence of it, just like you did before. I'm sitting here feeling guilty for not saying anything when you said, "It's your turn, boys and girls." Like, I don't have anything to say.
Well, thank you. I can't out-arm wrestle everybody now.
Everybody.
Not everybody at once, but maybe one at a time.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently in your years of teaching?
Differently what?
Would you, looking back on all of your years of teaching, would you have done anything differently?
Some things I couldn't have done differently. I could have, but I couldn't have. I could have sucked up big time. But that just wasn't in me. I couldn't have done that. What?
We got you.
What? What?
You're fading. Speak up.
he's got a mic on him. So.
Yeah, he's good.
There's a question from JJ Patterson.
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
He said, "What's the best thing about this moment?" Or he asked that question.
Being here with you people.
Second best thing?
Being here with all the students I've had. And I had very few butthole students. I mean, down to, seriously.
Which 2 were the worst, though?
Which 2?
Sorry, was that a leading question?
I don't think she would say those 2. I don't think so.
And the thing about butthole students, you could take them as far as you could take them in the classroom. And then it comes time to write a referral. You write a referral, send it down to the office, and the office basically says it's your problem. You know, and that's just crap. That's a cop-out by the office. And that started because a administrator years ago didn't want to handle any problems. And so he put it back on the teacher. And so the teacher had to handle the problem and contact the parents. And that's just bull crap, you know. And one teacher said, "I'm not going to get the kid in trouble twice. Case closed." Teacher can't do anything. And at one time I was told that Liberty High School could handle 10% of the, I'll keep calling them buttholes, of the buttholes at the high school. No way. They're not going to take 10%. That would look bad at the high school, look bad at the district. They're not going to do that. There's a lot of things you guys didn't know about teachers, about the school district.
I couldn't imagine you writing a referral. Who would do something in class that and you would write it? I couldn't imagine.
This kid is constantly being a butthole. Please take care of this.
I don't think I was ever afraid of a referral from you. I was more afraid of disappointing you.
I like that. That means I was doing my job.
It was hard having your class after lunch because you always told us you would lock the door if we were late. And so it was a very stressful lunch because we got to go off campus senior year and we always had to get to your class on time.
I like that.
Or having a later lunch.
I know at least one person in this room right now who is afraid of me.
What?
Just one? Right?
There's a comment from Ashley Weir. Says, "You're my hero, Mr. Garrett."
Please tell her thank you.
You can tell yourself.
You just did.
She sat in the far row, third seat back. And she said one time, "What attracted me to my wife?" And the words out of my mouth right away, she was clean in every way. That's the truth. She was and still is. So you and JJ have a nice conversation going, or what?
Yeah, JJ also passes on his sentiments to you. Says he loves you, and I'm sure he wishes he could be here in person.
Well, tell him thank you. I love him too.
One thing, about buttholes, since we're talking about that. I remember you saying that when a student walked through your door, that you had no interest in whatever reputation preceded them, and any remarks or warnings that maybe you received from other people or other teachers you discarded, and you judged everyone on their own merits within your classroom. And I really respected that, and I think that was a great way to level the playing field among all of us, and brought us closer together as a class.
There was one guy, it was after school in the springtime, and it was warm, door was open. I'm sitting at my desk and I hear this tap, tap, tap on the door jamb, and I look up and there was a huge guy standing there. And I look over and I say hello, and I get up and I walk towards him and I stick my hand out, which seemed like the proper thing to do, besides just being the nice guy that I am. He sticks his hand out, we shake hands, and I say hello. And I say, I'm Mr. Garrett, who are you? He says his name, and I recognize the name. And the point of the deal is, I said, I should call you Mr. Eclipse, because you block out the sun. You're about the biggest kid I've ever seen. Words to that effect. When I last saw him, he was about 160 pounds, dripping wet. Now the door was no hindrance to him. So we talked for a while, and he left. He was a big guy.
And Mike, would you mind sharing the comments from Ashley?
Yeah. I mean, Ashley mentions that, she remembered that Mrs. Garrett worked at her elementary school, so that was good, and she says hi. And then Ashley says, I can't believe that he remembers me. When he asked me what his plans were for the weekend, he would always say, whatever my wife says we're doing. And then, and also, that was so beautiful, me. Oh, hold up, there's more. Thank you for being such a great man, Mr. Garrett. Yeah.
Tell her thank you, please.
She hears, yeah. She's here. Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't wish more of your classmates weren't here. But I'm very pleased that who is here is here.
Yep.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really good to see everyone. It's almost like I don't want this to end. It's a really good, vibe, atmosphere.
Well, it doesn't have to, This day has to end, but what we have here doesn't have to end.
Yeah, we've built some momentum, and we have really very few excuses to stay in touch in this day and age with kind of the social media at our fingertips. What would you say, other than the students, what is the thing that you miss most about teaching?
The interaction with the students, being with the students. If that's the same thing or not, I don't really know.
If there's one thing other than teacher, what other profession do you think you would have done well in?
Clint Eastwood. It's a .357 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. Blow your head clean off.
I can see your sense of humor hasn't changed.
Some people think I don't have a sense of humor. What do they know? Well, in 8 minutes, it'll be 5 o'clock.
Go ahead. This Garrett's being quiet.
I don't think he could have done any other profession, because he couldn't sit behind a desk. And the only other thing might have been something where he worked outdoors. Not fine things, but, you know, maybe some sort of construction or something like that. But teaching was his only calling.
Thank you, my love.
Real quick on that note, one shopcraft question. Why is when they say don't use sarcasm with students, why is that completely wrong?
I don't think it is. If the students know the teacher, they got to know when sarcasm is mean. Hey, sarcasm can be a teaching tool. I used to use "No, I'm lying to you" a lot.
A lot.
You said it really seriously.
Are you whatever? No, I'm lying to you. You know.
I've fallen for that at least 1,000 times. Yeah, so Jason said that as far as your alter career, he would have fought crime as a super carrot. So.
You know how
Maybe he
hot?
did, we just don't know.
You know how hot that super carrot costume is?
How do you know? You've never, well, two of you have never been in the same place at the same time, right?
Super carrot told me.
Oh, okay.
Man, it couldn't be any worse than Batman's suit. I'm sure that gets a little sweaty under there.
Wrap that cape around super carrot, and he sweats like a horse.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Another question for you. So how did you see, in general terms, your students change over the years? Not, the same students, but from generation to generation. From the time that you started teaching until the time that you ended teaching.
Lack of manners. And flat out, Mommy and Daddy didn't do the job.
Could you imagine if you were still teaching today?
I wouldn't get into teaching today. Every once in a while, I talk with my wife about things that I did in the past. I'd be called in the office immediately.
Mr. Mack has a comment.
Okay, you're right. Okay, wow. Okay, all right. Mr. Garrett, just like what everybody said earlier, you've made such a difference in all of our lives. Every day when I teach, I always try to think, what would Mr. Garrett do? Or what would Mr. Garrett say? I don't know how to say often, but you mean so much to me, and I love you and what you've done for me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. My teaching career, my parenthood, and my overall teaching method would not be the same without your information in my life. Thank you for everything that you've done for me and everybody else. I love you again. Mr. Mack.
Thank you.
So do we go down in history now as being the best classes you've ever had?
Yes.
I'm going to believe you when you say that. You're not just messing with us, right?
It's the best
No,
adult education class.
This doesn't sound right. That's fine.
Next down would be one or two of the military history classes. They'd shape you guys up.
Yeah, no, it's true. I still remember Micah.
Micah was the best class leader.
Yep.
Did you ever tally up how many total students you had?
For what?
Just over the arc of your career?
Oh, no, but it was like 7,000.
And the classes that you taught, what were the different classes altogether, other than philosophy and military history?
Emerging nations, California history, basic math.
World Civ.
Yeah.
World Civ. I don't know. A lot of different classes. When I first started, I had like 4 different subjects one day. That was fun.
Mr. Max says it while it went downhill since 1994's best philosophy class, right? I added a little bit of extra in there, but yeah. Yeah. Really? 94, Mac? Really? I thought you were younger than that.
U.S. history
Yeah,
was one.
So I want to be respectful of everyone's time.
Right.
And we are here under the supervision of Mr. Erb. So we will end on time. Any final comments, questions, thoughts?
It seems like in just this room, and I imagine many more for the people that are watching, that you inspired a lot of people to become teachers.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
I'm proud of that.
Would you say it's one of the more important jobs out there?
If they truly become teachers, then I'm very proud of it. If they just back up to the pay window and stick their hand out, then no. There's people on this campus who I would not allow my child to take.
Well, we probably didn't have a teacher like you.
Yeah. I always said that, he was going out on top because he retired the same year we graduated, so, that's good.
Not me. I spent an entire year without him.
There was another teacher who won't be mentioned who took over the philosophy position, and it was different.
Yeah, I didn't try that year.
I did.
I was.
There was a book. That says it all.
4 periods that year. I did the 2 required classes and then 2 whatever classes because I did college during summer break, so I didn't have to spend senior year here hardly at all.
There was a teacher on this campus that said, all you do in the philosophy class is talk. Yeah. And you never assign homework. Oh.
Wasn't there weekly quizzes?
Yeah. Memorize the
like quotes.
people who wrote the quotes. That was tough.
Yeah.
I had to study in Randall Camp's class before.
I didn't like those weekly quizzes.
I don't remember if it was with you guys, but there was one time philosophy classes were begging for me to give a test because I was up to 50 quotes.
Yeah, I remember that for sure. That sounds like something you would have done. Eric was
Mr. Garrett, please give us a test.
Yeah, when it was 10, it was good. When it got to like 30, 40, 50, you're just like, okay. I'm gonna mess up one word with this quote, and it's no good.
I still remember that one class where, like, halfway through the class, you're like, well, there goes my plan for today, and we just kept talking, and then we tried to do it the next day, and you're like, no, we're not doing that again.
Didn't we peel an orange? I think fourth period, we peeled an orange for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you would come in, sit down in the chair, and be like, all right.
Yeah, we all have a lot of lasting memories that are going to continue to stick with us. So
Good,
you did your job.
good. If I made you think, that's what it takes.
All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you to those of you that were able to join us virtually. And let's not be strangers.
Yeah, don't be
Stay in touch. All right.